And out of that, of course, came, among other famous documents, the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So these are very powerful tools that they're playing with, and I wouldn't say that they shouldn't. They should, beg off because it's getting on too late and they have to go home and have supper. I think that they do have to go and have supper, but they shouldn't give up the campaign on that basis.
Yeah. That seems to be kind of one of the issues that the Occupy movement is going to have to address over time, is to make sure that it sustains itself, that it doesn't drive itself to the point of dispersal. But I think if we were to just wrap the discussion up and say positive, reasonable, not necessarily radical. I mean, they're radical if you're in the 1%, maybe like the Tobin tax or the Robin Hood tax, or Tony's idea that he presented earlier about if this groundswell of support were to move itself, and if 40 people in one riding were to enter into one political party and even take part within that riding of their voting structure and influence that, and maybe even come up with a candidate. These are all reasonable ways to get in and change the system, and the Occupy movement has to keep finding different ways like this. And I actually think that proportional representation is another reasonable thing to ask for in Canada. That can only improve our system. It may not make it perfect, but there are a number of different things that the Occupy movement can do. And it's just a matter of time after they go through this exercise of essentially civics, a civics class where everyone's learning how to discuss things together and how to come to agreements, that eventually this movement has got to bring its message to bear and make change by not asking, but by doing things. I think that's essentially where the Occupy movement hopefully will end up.
Good point.
I think that it's great that we can have these kind of discussions so early in the lifespan of this movement, and I find it very encouraging that I hear, just like from YouTube videos taken on site at encampments, young people discussing the concept of fractional reserve banking. Jacob, who we're going to bring on later on, has written to the Aurelia Packet on this subject and got himself into a little back and forth with a Conservative MP on the subject too.
He got the attention of a member of Parliament who disagreed with him and has been able to have an actual conversation with him. So there are a lot of things that can come out of this.
Hopefully, if this movement is going to do anything positive, there's going to have to be a whole lot of conceptual discussions like we're just having here, to educate people and to hopefully channel the energies into a productive political interface.
But you guys have rigged this discussion. We're all lefties here.
Well, we do that so we can have a friendly discussion and keep things going.
We find it's better to talk to people that we have a lot in common with, because if we did these standard talking heads, one from the right, one from the left, what happens is people bicker and nothing gets done. There's a conversation gets stalled out right on the premises. You know what I mean? Because you can't agree on anything, it turns into a kind of like a pissing match. And
I wasn't complaining, you understand?
No.
We hear you,
I think it's important to bring up, because this is something me and Mike talked about when we've developed the concept for the show. We'd rather bring on people that are of similar minds, so we can take on a big subject like this and together explore it and come to some conclusions, for lack of a better word. It's educational to talk to you guys because it clarifies my own thoughts, for example. Yeah,
a good discussion always does that. There's one thing I would like to say, though, and that is that we're talking basically in a vacuum here. The people that are making the important decisions are down on the street or in the discussion groups around there. And they're making decisions. Well, the Wall Street people have actually put together a sort of platform by that means.
Yeah. See, now,
if that hangs together, that's wonderful.
Yeah, see, here's where I kind of part ways with you just a little bit, because I think that, Gavin, you're a part of the Occupy movement, and your voice and your ideas are no less important than they would be had you decided to go and camp out. You know what I mean? You're one person that belongs to the Occupy movement. They're making decisions, but they're deciding how to run their encampment.
Oh, I think they're doing more than that. But I do take, I will accept my membership card if you want to give it to me.
Yeah. I'm just saying that one member of the movement equals one voice in the movement, no matter where you're sleeping tonight,
That's a good point. And I would, for the sake of the people who are going to be out in the street during the bad weather coming, I would accept that most wholeheartedly.
Yeah, see, now, I was never really sold on the importance of the encampment, as Mike, will attest for our other conversations we've had, even on previous shows. But I do agree that it gives a focal point, like a context to have these discussions with, as in we wouldn't be talking about this if there were no people camped out,
Yeah, that's right.
And here's just another really quick thing that I'd like to add into. I do have some friends that I know are definitely more conservative or even apolitical, but have different interests. Some of my friends are hunters and gun owners, and some of them support the Conservative Party. And from some of the posts that I've put up on Facebook, I was really pleased to see that some of my friends from this other position like what I say about this movement. And, maybe the Occupy movement is the topic that will allow this show to talk to some people with, a little bit of a different political position than all of us here, who obviously are left-leaning or progressive or however you want to call that. So maybe that's a show we can do in the future. We'll look for some people that we know have differing opinions but still support this Occupy movement, and see if we can't get them on and just see what they think about it.
Yeah.
So
but the one thing I just wanted to say in wrapping up was that I do support the choices that you guys have made around this program, because in spite of the fact that we're all somewhat to the left of the spectrum, what you do here is good discussion with people who have slightly different ideas and slightly different viewpoints. And I think that's a welcome and valuable contribution that you guys are making.
Yeah, that was kind of our goal when we started. We wanted to make sure that we didn't want everyone to just be talking from the same position, and we knew that there were a number of different types of progressive people with different interests and different concerns, and that the key is to find the relationships that we can build between each other without worrying about offending one sole viewpoint, and in doing that, building bridges between people who are union activists, people who are indigenous activists, people who are poverty activists, people like Wayne Smith who wants to see a proportional representation, and people who are concerned about the foreign policy of Canada. And there's so many different issues, and just like the Occupy movement, we need to find ways so that we can all get together and we can have conversations.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And Gavin and Dave, I could talk to you guys all night, and I hope you guys are willing to continue this conversation pretty much where we left off on a future show, because I'd certainly like to have you both back on again to talk about the Occupy movement and anything else that can be talked about it using the Occupy movement as a jumping off point.
I look forward to it, Tony.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. And we're going to go to a song right now. We may as well play some Dany Laj, because we haven't done that in a while. And after this break, we're going to come back with Dawna Ahola, who's helping out with Occupy North Bay.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then we'll bring Jacob on after too.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Here's Dany Laj.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
I wake up when there's no one around. I get up to the sound of alarms that keeps going on and on and on, that keeps going on and on. And I listen to city cars passing through. Oh, after hours it keeps going on and on and on.
And that was Dany Lash from the Old Youth album, a song called Lost in Dust. We are now joined by Dawna Ahola, who is in North
Hey,
Bay.
Tony.
How you doing, Dawna?
I'm pretty good.